I'm Town Manager Eric Peterson, and this is a summary of the Hillsborough Board of Commissioners meeting from January 12th, 2015. So the first item of business for the board meeting this past Monday was each year we recognize employees who have reached 5-year milestones, and we give them, I wish I had an example here to show everybody, they're kind of cool, basically a coin of 5, 10, 15, it goes all the way up to 30-year coin in a little presentation box. And we had 5 employees this year that had reached 5-year milestones. Sergeant Nick Chalenza, utility mechanic Sam Donovan, both had 5-year anniversaries with the town. Our town engineer Kenny Keel just had a 15-year, as well as Sergeant in investigations Scott Nicolason, also 15-year anniversary. And our big one, which we've only had one before, was water plant operator Russell Bateman has had his 30th anniversary with the town, 30-year anniversary. So it was great to recognize those employees. A couple other big presentations in the evening. One was our annual audit. And our auditors come in each year, provide a overview to the town board and the staff of any findings, overall financial condition, and make themselves available to answer any questions of what they found. So overall, the financial condition of the town is good, both in the general fund and in the water sewer fund. Our savings levels continue to increase, which you need to have them elevate as your expenses go up. So that was positive. They had some recommendations on ways to improve our internal controls, and that'll lead into an action we took later in the evening by adding a new financial operations manager. As we've been growing, the finance division actually has had no additional positions for this will be 12 fiscal years, dating back to '04, and the amount of paperwork and things they're having to process is increased dramatically. There's a lot more tasks, and we need somebody who's got government-specific accounting, which is different than other areas. So the board ended up approving a new position for finance and that, which will be a big help for us, not just in the audit, but our daily operations. Also, the Government Finance Officers Association, we received, this is like the 15th out of 17 years we won the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. Basically, we send our budget off to GFOA in Chicago. They send it out to reviewers in different parts of the country. They give us a report card. They rate it based on our, being a policy document, financial plan, operations guide, and communications device. So we got good ratings on it, and we try to learn from those suggestions from other government budget staff and move on. So that was some good news. Of course, the most exciting item of the evening, which was prominently featured in the News of Orange, was K9 Talon's retirement. Talon is 10 years old and served the police department for about 8 years with his partner, Corporal Scott Foster, and they were a fantastic team. We're lucky to have just 2 excellent canine handlers, along with Corporal Mike Fichet. So now Vader is the replacement, and Talon can luxuriate and relax, and he's now part of Scott Foster's family, which he has been for the past 8 years. So that was fun. So he shook the mayor's hand, and all sorts of fun. Probably the biggest item of the evening was the Colonial Inn update. So 2 parts of that. The board adopted a resolution, which was about a page long, and explained that basically they are willing to support and help facilitate where they can. There's limitations in what the town can do. Efforts to acquire, preserve, and renovate the Colonial Inn. Not that the town will be the driving force behind it, but what we've been learning is that it's likely that it's going to probably take a 3-pronged approach to save the inn. It's going to take a private entity to take the lead, likely, some philanthropic contributions, and some sort of government assistance. And there may be ways that the town can assist, whether it's some economic development incentives or tools that we have available. And just because the restoration costs on the inn are so enormous that by its own it appears that it's going to be very difficult for any private entity to restore it and to actually make a profit on it. So the board basically put that in a resolution form that they're willing to work and assist. The other part of the Colonial Inn item was The UNC School of Government over here in Chapel Hill has a division which is called the Development Finance Initiative. And what DFI does, they've worked on many different interesting projects across the state. They're not always historic. They could be working on building determining whether or not it makes sense for a city to build a convention center or other types of things. But more specifically, they've got expertise that helps local governments attract private investment on transformative projects to help local governments make a well-informed decision about what level of involvement they should have. And I think maybe I said this in one of my earlier videos, that of course everybody that comes to local governments are saying, we don't have enough money to make this project, can you give us money? And it's an area that lots of us, we don't have expertise in. So DFI is able to come in, do a financial analysis, like in this case on the Colonial Inn. They also did one on Bellevue Mill, and have a lot of experience in projects, and say, these are potential uses, this is the value of the property with the different uses, and this is the way the market is looking. Here's a pro forma on it. In order for this project to be profitable, you, the town of Hillsborough, may need to do X, Y, or Z, and better educate us as to what our options are so we don't get taken advantage of, but we're also not so conservative that we don't do enough to make a critical project like this viable. So that was an $8,500 contract with DFI. Their estimated turnaround time on doing the pro forma and the analysis is about 8 weeks. So we're in wait and see mode. They're starting to work on the project. So we'll, and one other piece that I forgot to mention that was included in the resolution is we are aware there's multiple private efforts on acquiring the inn that the town's not necessarily associated with, but we're aware that they're working. So it's good that those drivers are taking place. A couple other things, I'd already mentioned the financial operations manager. There's quite a bit of discussion, which was a continued item, about on-street parking. And some places in town have parking pads that are off the right-of-way where the vehicles are completely off the road. And some issues in different parts of town had come up about concern, especially in areas where there was a specific location where half of a parking pad was built, so somebody was parking their vehicle on half the pad and half of it was sticking out in the street, the vehicles. And so the neighbors were concerned about it, approached the town, and so the Public Works Director, Ken Hines, had staff do some analyses of what other local governments do in the area. Do you allow vehicles to park on the street, or do you not? Do you allow parking pads? Do you not allow them? And of course, everybody's sort of over the map. I think generally it's limited in when you can park on the street. So there was a lot of discussion. There was probably about five residents came and spoke and expressed their concerns about allowing these parking pads for reasons of erosion, safety issues, and I think most people seem to express they understand the practicality. If you have your in-laws staying for the weekend, if you're having a Super Bowl party or something's going on, you may have vehicles out there, but somebody who's parking there every day, every other day on a regular basis, it also is tearing up the yards and creating safety issues. So anyway, there's staff is going to go back to the board here in the near future and try to address some of these issues. The town board did seem to be pretty clear that having parking pads that are allowing vehicles to park halfway in the street is not acceptable, and that allowing more parking pads to be built, especially where there's gravel and other things getting thrown out on the road, is an issue, and there's a good chance that new pads won't be allowed. Though we understand Hillsborough is unusual with the topography in some areas, that if there has to be an exception made, one option may be going to the Board of Adjustments, or there may be a system built where staff can take something to the board. But overall, that was sort of the way things are looking, and we'll do some additional follow-up. That's a quick overview from the meeting. If anybody has any questions or wants more information, we should have the minutes out in the next couple weeks on site, or feel free to call myself or any member of the town staff. So thanks, and have a great weekend.